What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Moon Knight Episode 1 review and mini breakdown. Now, I have not had time, unfortunately, to actually do a full scripted breakdown. I've been working with heavy spoilers, and Elden Ring and the Orville have become my new micro-obsessions. But I have watched the episode, and you know what? I did actually enjoy it. It is a very much of a slow pace. It is different to the MCU in a good way. It's different as in how I thought Eternals would be different to the MCU, but, well, less said of that, the better. Now, of course, we are following Moon Knight, but, well, of course, as you may or may not have known, that, well, Mark Spector, aka the Moon Knight, has different personas. He has, of course, Mark Spector. He also has the Moon Knight, which is where he has become a crime fighter, having been reborn and resurrected at the altar of a Khonshu statue, who is the god of the moon and, of course, justice. So there is that. Now, that pretty much happened in the comics, but we see none of that here, as we follow Stephen Grant, who is another version of, or another persona made by Mark Spector, and there is also Jake Lockley, who is missing. Of course, the Moon Knight Prime is Mark Spector, but Stephen Grant takes the majority of this episode, and he has to cede control to the former Marine come mercenary, now vigilante, Mark Spector. The question is, where is Jake Lockley? He was one of the personas created by Mark Spector when he returned to America to try and become a Bruce Wayne-style figure. I'm sorry for the simile there. But what is going on? Well, I do think maybe that is a hidden persona, as in the episode we saw a lingering two shadows late in the episode. So Jake Lockley is in there, we just haven't seen him yet. So the mystery of the show is, what is this weird bird creature that's following him around, and who is this other persona who takes him over? Well, of course, we know who that is. It's Mark Spector, who is the true Moon Knight, who seemingly has to do something and has a war against our Arthur Harrow. Now, in the episode, we had one of the kids say that, well, there are reeds, or did it suck for him that he was denied the reeds, which is the afterlife? So a bit of an Egyptian 101 here. If your heart is weighed against a feather and, well, it doesn't work out for you, well, you get eaten by Ammit. But Ammit has been upgraded here simply above seemingly Anubis, who is the goddess of death and of the underworld there. So that is a bit of a weird one. So it seems here that there is a battle between Ammit and Moon Knight, or Khonshu, and Arthur Harrow seemingly wants to try and make Ammit control the world, who will do all sorts of pre-crime Minority Report stuff there and stop crime before it even happens, a la Winter Soldier, which had a hint towards our boy Moon Knight there. So throughout the episode we follow Stephen as he works out what's going on, and there are hints. We see the Ennead, who are the kind of like the Avengers of Egyptian. That's cringe, I do apologise. But throughout the course of the episode we do get to see that transformation at the end, where there is a jackal. Now, the child did say that there are the reeds of the afterlife, and like I said, did it suck for him? That's interesting, because, well, Mark Spector died, and he actually was resurrected by Khonshu. So I think that in this storyline, in this TV version, this MCU version of Moon Knight, I think maybe he was rejected from the afterlife, was about to have been eaten by Ammit, but Khonshu took over and resurrected him, and that is why he was rejected. Now, something to keep an eye out as well is that they mention the Great Pyramid of Giza, and the guide did say that there's nothing in there, but we see that Great Pyramid of Giza in a trailer, so I presume that that is going to come up in the upcoming episodes. Interestingly, a bit of a London knowledge for you here. The British Museum is the place that has all of the Egyptian artifacts. However, the museum here is actually the National Gallery. Now, when he leaves the night, we also see a man dressed up in gold. That is Crawley. Now, Crawley was a sort of vagrant who the Jake Lockley persona was actually friends with, and they helped solve crimes together a little bit before he revealed the whole thing, what his personas are to Crawley. So that's the guy dressed up there in gold, and I do think that this Stephen Grant is not Stephen Grant. I think this is Jake Lockley, and that Stephen Grant was the guy who actually asked that chick out on the date. So I think that that is what's going on here. Now, we also have Arthur Harrow, who in the comics was someone who conducted experiments on people in World War II, and then a shadowy group, funded his experiments on as well. And interestingly as well, that was a similar group who hired Moon Knight in his debut comic in Werewolf by Night number 32 to actually take out the werewolf and capture him, who will also be getting their own Halloween special, which I think is pretty cool. Arthur Harrow has changed a lot. He is now a cult leader who is similar to David Koresh, who you may remember part of the Waco Siege, the Church of the Branch Davidians, and he is a lot more like the Sun God or the Sun King in one of the most recent runs of Moon Knight. This is very much drawing on the more modern, kind of like the Marvel Now and then Marvel Legacy version of Moon Knight as well. Yes, a lot is going on. Overall, I thought that this was very good. I like the idea that the suit has to be summoned from where I presume the statue of Khonshu is, where our boy Mark was actually resurrected. Before the stuff was made, and then later on it was changed that he got weapons from the cult, or the cult of Khonshu, who are the disciples of Khonshu there. But he summons his costume, and it looked so expert there. And we see him fight the Jackals, who did appear in the comics. I won't go in too much into that comic history, as I expect they're going to do this a lot. But overall, I thought that this was an absolutely enjoyable experience. In the vacuum, just this episode, it's very mysterious. I don't like the whole leading up to the mystery, reveal something, and then have a cliffhanger. That's not something I like. I'm getting a bit bored of that with the MCU, but in the main, a pretty good episode. But that was it for you. I hope to do some scripted stuff for you, but I do have other commitments and other jobs, so that is that. But I'll see you soon, and goodbye.